Hey, this is Chris Jericho, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla and the author of A Lion's Tale, Around the World in Spandex, the greatest book ever written, better than War and Peace, better than Lord of the Rings, better than Harry Potter and the Circle of the Golden Magicians. And you're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com right here on the World Wide Web. Junior.
All right, we have returned, and we're joined by former WCW World Champion, former WWE Superstar, master of the Self-High-Five, renowned actor, founder of DDP Yoga, and the man who'll make you feel the bang. We got DDP Diamond Dallas Page. How you doing?
I am unstoppable. That's how I'm doing.
You're always in a good mood. That's always good to see.
Well, what good is it to be in a bad mood? I don't like it when I'm in a bad mood. No one else does either. Because before I started really learning how to breathe and shit, I mean, I was I could just fly off at a handle. I don't do that no more. I just feel, not as much. It takes a lot to really get me pissed off. And I'm not saying I don't. I'm human like everybody else, but I'd rather be in control of it than let it be in control of me, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Now, we'll let everybody know the website. We'll link right on the page, yrgworkout.com. But why did you change your name from YRG to DDP Yoga?
Mainly because I couldn't get anybody to call it YRG. That's what was killing me.
Really? That stuck in my mind, YRG.
Swear to God, and I loved how it would rhyme with stuff, YRG for energy, and it was just, get your DDP with YRG with DDP, or I survived YRG with DDP. I loved it, but I couldn't get anybody to call it. They call it yoga. I go, it's not yoga. It's its own animal. And then it got to a point where everyone kept saying, so DDP, how's your yoga doing? And then I was just because I just got it back from Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers really dropped the ball when they had it with me, because I had a way I wanted to promote it and the way I wanted to take it on the infomercial scene and all that. That was hard edge, and, the way I'm doing it now. And they didn't agree with me. And so I had given away control of the creative control. So I had to, they wanted to change the name to the Diamond Body System. I said, DBS? Diamond Bolstio? No, I'm not doing that. And they were like, well, help us come up with another name, because yoga's a death word in infomercials. I was like, hey, I got a name, YRG. If you guys got something better, tell me about it. So they decided to keep it, and then they won't call it yoga for regular guys. And I want to say DDP Yoga or YRG, is a hard, if yoga's a bicycle, YRG's a Harley. I mean, there was so many things I wanted to take like that, and they wouldn't do it. And so I literally, for 2.5 years, had to sit on my hands. And when I finally got it back, which is about 9, maybe 10 months ago, I decided, okay, how am I going to stick with a brand that says it all in one word? Well, everybody wants to call it yoga anyway. If you Google me in any kind of fitness period, yoga is going to come up somewhere. And I really developed this workout for people, not just guys, but for people who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga, but wanted the positive effects of it. Mm-hmm. So once I realized, okay, everybody calls it DDP Yoga anyway, so why not stop trying to, hit the wall? And with YRG, again, when I'd say yoga for regular guys, women would say, well, can girls do it too? And I'd be like, I'm from Jersey. Guys is like a unisex word.
Right.
So, the bottom line is you don't have to ask. And once you come to DDPYoga.com, in the first 10 seconds, across the screen of the video I am playing comes a wall of rock and roll and like a thundercloud, that when the thundercloud leaves, you see DDP. And then yoga, bam, comes slamming down right next to it. And then, boom, my fist comes through the O. And then we stamp it with, bang, it ain't your mama's yoga. Now, if you don't know what I'm doing in the first 10 seconds, well, then you got a problem, not me. Because I'm doing something with yoga where I put my fist through the O of yoga, and I stamp it with it ain't your mama's yoga. So if you can't figure that out, go to the next section. Go to insanity. or go to B90X. Go to whatever works for you, because you don't know what those workouts are either until you stepped in. And this, I'm really excited that now I can get all about it's a zero impact workout. Have you guys done Insanity or P90X? Have you ever done it?
I've never have, no. Mm-mm.
Do you know people who have done it?
I've seen the info commercials.
Well, the people, it's an awesome workout. I think it's an amazing workout if you're under 25, or if you're under 35 and you never played sports in your life, because the impact that your body goes through, and this is where people don't, they don't really pay attention to their bodies till, well, you're going to die, or we're going to have to replace that hip, or we're going to have to do this, or we're going to have to do that because you pushed yourself too far and didn't take care of yourself. Where my workout is about zero impact and healing your body. It's why I'm working with so many professional wrestlers, football players, and I just started picking up MMA guys. Are you guys, when it comes to like a workout, do you guys work out at all?
If you've seen me, you'd probably know the answer to that. It's not really.
So where are you at physically?
I would not say I'm the best in physical shape. He's built, man. Interesting.
How old are you now?
I'm 36.
36. You're still a baby. I just started wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
For me to just start wrestling at 36, I had to really figure out ways to hold back the hands of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I really got into chiropractic and deep muscle massage therapy and, eating better, because the way you eat is how you feel. Do you guys get a chance to see that video of the disabled veteran?
Yes,
Arthur Boorman?
I did. That was, and I was shocked that it was, it was like under a year that he had gotten, so much better shape and was walking without a cane and lost so much weight. And that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and when you really know his backstory, he was, a paratrooper. And the paratroopers, I didn't know this at the time until I got into the story with him, but those guys drop like 18 feet a second. Now think about that. Dropping 18 feet a second, knees and ankles together, tuck and roll. And they're carrying anywhere between 50 and 200 pounds on their back. So imagine the impact that your body is going to go through after 30 or 40 jumps. It's like professional wrestling. You can't fake gravity. Mm-hmm. And Arthur, he had well over 500 jumps. He was trying to get his 20 years in, but that wasn't going to happen because his body was breaking down on him. And he knew if he don't get out of this soon, he ain't going to be able to walk. And then he started to retire, and then the first Gulf War came. And at that point, he survived the helicopter accident, actually walked away from a helicopter crash. It wasn't a big crash, obviously, but enough to jar the hell out of him. And the next time he fell from the sky, he was that guy who fell from, hit the ground and didn't get back up again. Mm-hmm. And, then he just, he had botched knee surgeries. They sent him home permanently disabled, knee braces strapped into a back brace. And when you're jamming like that, you're not just jamming your knees, you're jamming your ankles, knees, back, hips, the whole thing. Boom. And, he put on, well over at 1.300 pounds. And in my video that his son did, he was 297 pounds. And over that next 9 months on that video, he loses 130 pounds, loses the knee braces, loses the back brace, and loses the cane. And you saw him at the end.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what does that make you feel like when you see, you see somebody who's doing, that has improved their life so much, doing something, that you've come up with?
It's very gratifying, to say the least. I'll never forget the first time. The earlier in the video, it shows him walking for the first time without his canes, and that's about the almost 6 month mark, which was blowing my mind. And then I knew that, he was walking a little bit farther. I hadn't seen any other film of it. I said, Arthur, you gotta film yourself outside. And there was another film piece that he had before the one that's up on DDPYoga.com. And it was him in a forest, but the forest had like a road through it, and the way the camera was set, you could see this forest and this little blip, this little black dot walking. And I'm looking at it, and it gets closer and closer and closer. I go, oh, my God. I go, Angie, look at this. This is Arthur. And he's walking towards the camera. And right as he gets to where the camera is, he starts power walking. And then it's these hills that are right there. These hills that go up and down. And he starts jogging up and over this hill. And then around the back wall, he starts sprinting. And I'm like, oh, my God. And tears are just coming down my eyes, man. I'm not crying, but I'm weeping, man, because I'm like, oh, my God. I can't believe what this guy has accomplished. And this just goes to show you with the right workout, zero impact along the way, but gives you kick-ass cardiovascular, conditioning, will increase your flexibility dramatically and increase your core strength. Well, this guy is doing what I never dreamed was even possible. But it's the workout and how he ate. But most importantly, what he put in between his ears, every morning of every day, how he was going to walk again. That's a pretty, when he sent me an email, he always sent me what he ate, because what you eat is so important to how you feel. And for him, I wouldn't have never even worked with him if he didn't do my phase 3 eating plan, because you really got to be eating it on the phase 3 to show any kind of results. Never mind dramatic, crazy, like, good God, are you kidding me results. But about 2 months in, at the end of his little food diary that he'd sent me, he wrote, I will walk again, in big black letters. I was like, wow, that's a bold statement. And he did more than that.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. But I had to ask you something because it was on WWE Classics, and I was really proud of you because you stood up for WCW. I really like that show, WCW Classics, but a lot of times it's skewed all towards WWE, and they were really trying to put down, everybody, all the celebrities in WCW were terrible, and everyone that was ever used the WWE was perfect, and you weren't taking that. You stood up, and I thought it was one of the best episodes I've ever had.
JR said it was one of the best episodes, too.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. I have a lot of respect for JR, and mainly because he's so opinionated. If JR feels something, he don't hold it back. But if you're saying something and I don't agree with you, I'm not going to hold it back. And what's really funny, I'm looking at JR, Piper, P.S. Hayes, Gene Okerlund. All those guys work with WCW.
Right.
They all made stupid money there. But, now it's the redheaded stepchild because, we're WWE strong. And, I was part of every one of those celebrity angles. So I created the Malone one, and I was not going to let anyone bury Malone. Because name me another professional athlete, superstar, celebrity that came in and delivered more in the ring than Malone. Name me anyone. They don't exist. They don't exist. If Hogan, who I have a lot of respect for Hulk. Hulk really helped me a lot. I mean, he helped make me a lot too. But when he said we were going 40 minutes with Malone and Rodman, I just looked at him like, what? 12 minutes with entrances. Not 40. Let's do a 20-minute entrance and a 12-minute match. That's stretching it. But when I heard 40, my stomach just flipped over. It was what it was, man. No matter what, when you edited that down when they played it on the Monday Nitro that time, I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah,
that actually looked like a damn good match.
And
once it was edited.
And both guys, I mean, they were huge names at the time. Rodman was like, he was like this big superstar. Malone's was one of the best basketball players, and it was a huge deal. So I didn't understand, like, of all the things to pick on, was Malone and Rodman, and I didn't understand why they would even. I could see some other stuff. You could say, well, maybe this guy shouldn't wrestle or not, but I didn't get that one.
I got the whole Arquette thing, and I was like, listen, you're preaching to the choir. I was the first guy because I was the first guy ever told that David Arquette's going over tonight. I was like, that would be funny. Mm-hmm. And Russo and Bischoff both looked at me and go, that's what we're doing. I'm like, no, we can't do that. Oh, it's going to be this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, no, everybody knows wrestling's entertainment. I go, yeah, but nobody wants to believe it. Everybody knows there's no Santa Claus, but go look and see how many Santa Claus are on people's houses. Right. And they got no kids. I'm one of them. I know. But the whole thing was, once I told JR, the group, that Arquette gave up his money to Melanie Pillman, because that was around the time, Pillman had, passed, and, wasn't too far after that. And that shut everybody up, on that level, because what else could they say? And I knew that nobody knew that. So I was waiting for that. And I'll tell you what, David Arquette's one of the nicest men I've ever met in my life. He's very caring. And, a lot of his stuff gets, you see him because he has, once he went through his breakup with Courtney and stuff, he went a little crazy because he went back to drinking and stuff, but he's just a really class act and a really great guy. And you guys heard me talking about him on the show. He did not, first he was like, no way, I can't do that, because he was a huge fan, but there's not a person who's not a wrestling fan who's listening to this show. If they were sitting where David was, they'd have done it too. Because how do you tell the guy who's like 8 years old going, man, I love wrestling so much, I just want to be a wrestler. Wait a minute, you're going to let me wrestle and you're going to make me the world champion? Okay. Right. Okay. Like that fast. So all those people that are pissed off, really pissed off, and can't let it go, it's like, you do it too. Yeah. Uncle. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a good buzz going too, so it made it more fun.
I was really happy because I see people, like when they'd have ECW guys on, they're always like really apologetic before they would say anything positive about ECW, and I'd be like, oh, come on, just say, you were part of it and you enjoyed it. And it was good stuff. And when you were really stand up for it, that really made me proud. That was a huge
Well, I did actually. I was being where every WCW fan was, because as you know, when the WWE or WWF at that time took over, and they didn't use any of the guys the way people saw them. Well, those people just stopped watching. Yeah, and they will still, because they're still that fan, they will still stay in the loop, whether it's online, whether it's little blurbs that happen on YouTube, whatever, but they're still not totally disconnected. Not all of them, anyway. Yeah. And I know whenever I do anything, like we wouldn't have done so well with the very best of Nitro if we didn't have that fan, And that was another thing. When they first asked me, would I be interested? I was like, hell yeah. But then I went, whoa, wait a minute. I said, send me the script. And when I got the script, I never called anybody back. And Mike is one of the greatest guys. I can't remember how to say his last name, Calabrese or whatever. He's a sweetheart and a great producer too. But I didn't know him at the time. And, he called me back like 3 days later. He goes, DDP, did you get the script? I go, yeah, I got it. He goes, well, what do you think? I said, I think you don't want me to do this. And he said, what? No, they really want you. And I said, well, there's a bunch of, can I curse on this?
Yeah, you can say anything you want. Yeah.
I said, there's a bunch of shit in here I'd never said. And he goes, well, like, what do you mean? And I went, bing, 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 bing. And he said, well, change it. I was like, seriously? He goes, yeah, change it. So I did, and then they can change some of the stuff because, some things had to be a certain way, but nothing I'm not going to, I said, I understand that history is written by the winners. I get that. I said, but I'm not going to be one of the people, like I've seen so many people do, that come by and agree with everything the WWE says because that's what they want said. I'm not doing that. I don't need the money. I said, so it has nothing to do with, it's got to do with content to me. And then they let me change a lot of stuff and work with a lot of stuff. And they, a lot of the matches, like stuff I wanted to change around in there. Because, there were things I wanted to say at the end of that thing where to put the entire, best of Nitro into one production is a crime. And then I went right to saying, so I'm saying this is, volume 2 coming up. And I signed a WWE like deal, and we were second best selling DVD in the last 2.5 years. So I don't know, Steve Austin might have beat that, because he's Steve Austin, but I don't think so. I think I would have heard. He might have though. But that's still Steve Austin, and nobody besides Hulk was ever hotter than him. And nobody was hotter than him in a shorter period of time than he was hot.
Oh, yeah. I remember that time period, too, was everyone had an Austin 316 shirt. I was a wrestling fan my whole life, but at that time, I saw everyone with Austin 316 or NWO shirts, and that time, like, I'd never seen more wrestling shirts, just like in mainstream, just people walking around.
DDP shirt.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. You'd see him at
but Steve was the hottest, and you got to give hot to the hot. He was one of my best friends. He lived with me when he came to LA for 6 months. That was an odd couple.
I've read some stories with you and Austin and Mick Foley, Mick Foley's books.
Yeah, right. It was some fun times, man. Those guys ribbed the hell out of me, but those are the things you remember, things that pissed you off and got you going and stirred you up. And that's another reason why, the whole DDP yoga thing, the breathing thing. And I'm not into all that meditation. Meditation's awesome. I just can't do it. I can't. I don't want to. Because I just got my mind too much on go, and I should really start to change that. I'm 55. You think I would, but at some point maybe I will. But all the spiritual mumbo jumbo that yoga has, that don't work for me. It's awesome for the people who like it, and I'm not burying any yogis out there who are into that, because it's cool for people who dig it, but it's not me. And I know all the people that I've got doing DDP yoga, it ain't them either. Like I'm doing a retreat in July, and the 26th through the 30th. It's 4 days. Awesome trip. I got a 5-star place. I was there last year, and it was amazing. And we work out hard. We eat really good, and I mean it's all inclusive. The booze, the food, everything. Room service, everything's all inclusive, and it's for a really good price. And if DDP Yoga ate your mama's yoga, you can imagine if it your mama's retreat. I mean, we party. We go right from the workouts right into the pool, grab a cocktail, margaritas, whatever.
That's my kind of yoga.
That's it's like if you want to learn some healthy habits. I had there was about 30 people there last year. We'll probably have way more this year, but I had 3 people never done my workout before, and they're doing it with people who are real warriors who do it, and they just listen to my direction for how to modify the position. And with the DVDs, it's just like that. There's always someone modifying that position, so no one's going like, "Oh my God, this is going to kill me." By the time we get to this is going to kill you stuff, you're strong enough, or you wouldn't be there. It's one of those.
I heard Mick Foley's using your yoga to try to get back into, maybe not. I don't know if he wants to wrestle or not, but just he's really beaten up and.
Really, Mick Foley's beat up? Oh,
wow. Well, I know it's a shock, but
you couldn't pay me to be in 2 people's bodies. One is his, and the other, 3 people, Hogan and Flair. There's like no way I want to wake up in that body, man. Any of them. But Mick is the crash and burn of all time. God, he went on Twitter. And if you guys are listening to Twitter people, at Real DDP or at DDP Yoga. As a matter of fact, I got to shout out this tweet because Mr. Jericho, and we'll come back to Foley in a second, but Jericho was the first one to, HBK is the first one to do my workout. He told the boys he's never made it. He ain't ever been out there like Chris has and like yelling from the ceilings about it, which is I'm so grateful on so many levels. And some people think, are you paying Chris? Are you your spokesperson? I'm like, yeah, I wish I could afford him. Chris is $1 million guy. You just don't, get Chris Jericho. But, I helped him because the doctors pretty much said he was done, and he herniated his L4. And actually, it's so weird how things happen because I was doing the promo I did, that 30-second promo on Raw that night. Did you catch that? When HBK came by and kicked the young kid, knocked him out. Me and Booker were talking about the very best stuff. And like I said, Sean, he did my workouts coming out off that surgery he had, but he was doing it going back 8 years now. And I was doing the work, maybe 7 years. I was filming it in my backyard. And this is how I was figuring out how I was going to write the book and they start to do the workouts, showing video. And so I didn't have videos. And some people said to make them up. And that's where Sean started. He had 2 different workouts I had shot in my backyard. And then he got my YRG workout original DVDs. And he hadn't even had the new stuff yet. And he told me, he said, and he looked around because if any of the boys are saying they're hurt, you don't want to tell anybody. You don't want to tell anybody you're hurt, Right. And he goes, Jericho might be calling me back. It doesn't look good. And I said, hey, I'd love to help Chris. So I started following him on Twitter. He is I Am Jericho, and he's pretty funny. Sometimes he'll put some he's always good for, catching interesting stuff that he would tweet. And one of them was just left the acupuncturist, and he had a whole mess of porcupines up his back, I said, hell, I'm just going to call the fucker and see if he answers his phone, because he ain't ever answered his phone before when I called. But he picked up the phone, and he's like, yo, hello. I go, hey, TJ. What's good? I go, DDP. He goes, oh, man, I was just going to call you. I'm like, yeah, sure you were. We're laughing. He goes, no, seriously, man, I was really going to call you. And so, I hurt my back, and, it doesn't look good. And, a lot of the fans have been saying to me, DDP's got his own yoga, so this is way before I changed it to DDP Yoga, too. The name. Right. DDP got his own yoga, and Trish got her own yoga. And he's like, if I'm going to do anybody's yoga, it's going to be Paige's. Trish does a really great class, too. I've seen her stuff. It's good.
I'd like
and
to see
she's
that.
way better to look at.
That's what I was thinking. Sorry, that's what I was thinking.
Hey, dude, that's what I'm thinking. But hey, but I've got the bikers, and I've got Chuck Zito, the friggin' president of New York chapter Hell's Angels for 25 years. He does my stuff. So it's a different element. But he said, I'm definitely going to do, yours. I'm going to do it. And I said, I'll tell you what, Chris, don't even make a decision right here. I said, let me send you this video of this disabled veteran I helped walk again. And he got that video, and I sent it to him 3 times. I sent him the wrong one. I think he thought I was ribbing him, because the first one sort of set it up, and I said, here's the back, here's the payoff. And he goes, send me the payoff. I want to see the payoff. And when I sent it to him, he said, please send this to me as soon as possible. I just next dated it to him. And what was really amazing, within 3 weeks, he already felt 85% pain-free. And that was really cool. But what even cooler was, he came by my house when he was 3 months, and we got a workout together. And it was the second time I worked out with him in 5 weeks. I worked out with him in 3 months, and he was 95% pain free. And it is so cool for me because the boys don't ever put everybody's their own animal. Nobody really puts anybody over. They do their own thing. But for Chris to have branched out, because I'd have done the same thing. If it would have been reversed, I'd have done exactly the same thing. Exactly the way he's doing it, too, which is sort of God's way of, paying me back. Because I do. If I believe in something, I tell everyone about it. Right. And that's the way Chris has been, And for him, that one finish that he does where he jumps up, grabs your head, puts your knees in his face, and he pulls you to the canvas on his back. Now, if you got a bad back, you might want to come up with a better, a different finish than that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, his back, and that's what I'm telling you. If there's people listening, you got back pain, I can help you. I mean, that's what this workout was about. It was never about weight loss, and I've got people who have lost hundreds of pounds. And, it's not about weight loss. It's just an awesome side effect. And how that happens is, you ever watch a bodybuilder, you know, a bodybuilding show, how they'll flex those muscles, everything goes, and they'll get tight as a rock, and then they'll move again. But as they're moving, every muscle's like flexing and moving, and that's what happens when you do that. Like when you flex your quads, flex your glutes, like you're doing isometrics. Do you know what isometrics are?
I'm not sure, no. I've heard the term, but that's about it.
Isometrics would be like if you were trying to push against the wall and you're putting everything behind pushing that wall. Your feet would be engaged, right? Mm-hmm. Your calves, your quads, your glutes, your arms, every part of you would be engaged. But you're not moving. But just pushing against that wall and not moving, or a car or a truck, your heart rate's going to go up, 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 up. Because every time you engage a muscle, your heart has to beat faster to get the blood to the muscle. Mm-hmm. So before you know it, I'm not just having you stay still when you're engaging muscles. Mm-hmm. I got you moving while you're engaging muscles. I call it dynamic resistance. And what happens is, like I'm working out with this kid from the radio station this morning. He's 5'5". He's about 45 pounds, 50 pounds, maybe 45 pounds overweight right now, but he's dropped already like 30. And this is like our first time working together. And he understood the dynamic resistance and the engaging of muscles so good from my DVDs. But when he got to me, it went to a whole nother level. So I've got him doing stuff. Literally, he's on a knee with his foot out in front of him. His heart rate's 178. You'd have to believe it to see it, you know, because it's like, how is that possible? But you're using muscles, especially when I got you doing stuff you've never done before. Now you're only as strong as your weakest link. So that's what happened with Jericho. You know, he ended up like being, he looks amazing. You know, he ended up getting the best shape of his life. He's 41. He feels amazing. And he's out there bumping, you know, probably at least 22 nights a month, which is a lot. Never mind being 41 with 22 years plus in the ring.
I honestly think he probably looks physically the best I've ever seen him. Like, you know, just physically.
And that's what's so awesome. You don't need weights to have an awesome body when you're doing body on body like I do. Now, here's what he just wrote. He was just in I'll just read it to you. It just did a kick-ass DDP Yoga photo shoot or photo session for August Men's Fitness magazine. And then he wrote, this is so Jericho. And I wrote, now I'm searching the halls of 30 Rock looking for Jack Doherty. You know, Alex Baldwin from 30 Rock. But Jericho not just did it and told people about it. And like here he's doing it with Muttley, doing something with Men's Fitness. He's doing DDP Yoga moves. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, how cool is that? You know, and telling them about his comeback. And he's in the best shape of his life right now, which is pretty damn awesome. He got Santino doing it. You got friggin' Big Red Machine, Kane doing it, and Mick Foley. You know, I hope Mick sticks with it just more than anything for his, you know, his well-being. You know, just so he can go down and maybe tie his shoelaces again, which he can't do right now.
Yeah, I saw that on the TV. That was pretty sad. I saw him just recently. He was doing stand-up near me here on Cape Cod. It was a really good stand-up, but like he wasn't moving very well.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's really both him and Piper have a similar style where they kind of tell stories about their career and kind of play like the characters, and both of them are really good.
He said he's been working on doing that cookie story. Has he told that story yet on the
cookie
stage?
Story? Is that with the cookie crumbs? Or?
Yes, right.
I think he actually said that on the show, maybe.
Yeah, he told me he was. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Just real quick, there was a lot of questions there. I can't get to them all, but I'm going to change this one a little bit. Bob wanted to know what was it like managing the Diamond Stud in Scott Hall. I want to know, do you think that was really when he started to like bring out the charisma side? Because before that,
without question, yeah, he didn't. Scotty's great at play. He was great at playing a character, and I watched him do that for years. Play like behind the scenes. He was one of those guys that was unbelievably charismatic, but out there in front of the camera, he didn't have anybody to play. He was trying to be Scott Hall, and the Scott Hall is a very cool cat. I mean, he's a very cool cat, and it was just, I think that doing the whole diamond stud thing, changing his, something like you do things for Halloween. People, all of a sudden, they come out of their shell. And when I called him up and said, I want you to do, he's the one who called me. His wife was pregnant. He needed a job. And, I was managing a Freebirds. And, and I said, well, Scotty, I said, let me call Magnum up. And I called him, and Magnum was all about it. And then he called me back, and he said, nah, I talked to Dusty. We've already had him up here. And, they're not going to bring him back again.
Yeah, they had like a crocodile wrestler or something. I remember when he first came in.
Yeah,
it's like an alligator.
Gator Hall.
Yeah, that's
and I said, Magnum, and I hadn't talked to Scott about this yet. I said, if I could bring him there, and he didn't even resemble Scott, Gator Hall, would you take a look at him? He goes, how are you going to do that? I said, I can't tell you. I said, but let me talk to him first. I'll call you back. I called him up and I said, dude, nobody's got black hair but the honky tonk man. Can we dye your hair jet black? Oh, golly, jet black. I've never been jet black. I've never been anything but a blonde and brown hair, I'm like, dude, they're not going to bring you up. We got to recreate you. And he said, all right, I'll do it. So I called Magnum up. I know the jet black hair is going to change him immediately. And I convinced Magnum, and Magnum says, just bring him up here. I'll get him to try out. So in the meantime, I'm watching MTV that night, staying at my buddy's house. So I just got to Atlanta in a couple months, and I see that guy George Michael back before anybody knew he was gay. We all thought he was like the coolest straight guy on the planet. Man, he must get so much pussy. Okay, it's not pussy.
He's still doing good for himself. Yeah.
Whatever works. I don't give a shit.
Right, exactly.
Got a lot of good friends of mine are gay. I saw that he's the first one I saw had the brush cut look. That friggin', that stubble, the day-old stubble for the guy. Like, Scott Hall got day-old stubble 3 hours after he shaved. One of those guys. And I called him up at 2 o'clock in the morning. The video's playing. I go, Scotty, he goes, Valley, what are you doing? My wife, she's pregnant, sleeping. I go, dude, I got it. It's going to change everything, man. I go, we got to shave that walrus mustache. What? I go, the mustache. We got to get rid of it. I'm telling you, it's a difference in everything. Now, I've had this mustache since I was 16. And I'm like, bro, I'm telling you, it changes everything. So long story short, to hear him tell the story is really funny because he's just Scott Hall when he tells the story. It's awesome. And he tells me exactly the way I do, but with his mannerisms and busting my balls a little bit, which makes it even funnier. And then he says, he comes up, he shows up at the door, no mustache, the brush cut beard, and movie star. That's all I saw. But he had brown hair. I go, dude, you look awesome. The hair's got to change. Oh my God, I just put this in. What if it doesn't work out? I can wash this down. I go, stop thinking. It's going to work out. And we went and had some of my girls dye his hair and brought him there. No one recognized him. And I mean no one. And it was freaking him out. Imagine being yourself one day, and then the next day, no one. Guys you rode with for 6-8 months at a time, they don't recognize you. So it's really freaking him out. So he says, we were in the lunchroom, right? And he goes, yeah, tell Tommy Rich, Diamond Stud. He goes, I rode with that son of a bitch for 6 months. He'll know me. I said, okay. He goes, hey, Tommy. I said, Diamond Stud, right? Yeah, brother. And Scott turned around and he looked at him like he was going to kill him. He said, you don't fucking know me. And he got scared. And then he went, and they started laughing, and he couldn't hold it back there and give a big hug. And, that the whole character, the whole Razor Ramon character was Scott doing Tony Montana in my 62 pink Cadillac as we went from town to town. And, it was what who put who became Razor Ramon.
Mm-hmm. You know, and it's funny he kept that even when he went back to being Scott Hall, but he's always kept the accent.
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah, definitely. Works. I couldn't picture without it now. Yeah.
Yeah, what was funny was when he'd go in and out of the character, with the accent, and I think that was the Scott Hall character.
Yeah, right.
And he didn't know all he had to say was "Hey yo." And one of the things that me and Bishop had talked about backwards when they're in here right now, when one's Hall, they didn't say their names. You know me, you know us. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden we were getting to use the WWE character without them being able to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. And when I hear guys busting balls on WCW, like I always got to put up with, I say, all I know is there was 89 weeks. It was over 2 years ago and back and forth head to head, but there was 89 weeks where we kicked your ass. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I was one of the top 3 guys in the company. And that was happening. So shove it, That's what happened. That's what really happened.
Yeah. I want to say, you got into wrestling later on in life, and you really had to do work hard. Well, what do you think when you hear like a younger guy say that they're not using me right or something like that? Do you think you have to push yourself? You're never just going to be given something?
I think the best example would be Zack Ryder.
Yeah, the guy who got himself he went out and got himself over on the internet, and I wouldn't even be in the company if not for that. Mm-hmm.
He was a joke, just like wait a minute, Diamond Dallas Page was a joke too. Until all of a sudden everybody's chanting DDP. I'm not even in the building. In 1997, I couldn't have been any hotter. Mm-hmm. If it would have flipped around and they would have, there's a lot of different things you could have done. But, Bishop and I were really good friends at the time, and he just never really saw me as the guy. And maybe it's because he saw me as the manager in the AWA we always got in a fight with. So he had that thing in his head. Maybe if I would have come in from a different angle, maybe it wouldn't have been like that. But, hey, everything happened for me amazingly. And I think the guys who are young today, that they're not using me right, well, you need to figure out a way for them to use you right. And Zach, again, I don't know what they're doing with him I don't know why they did that stuff to him, that put him out. Is he back now? Is he doing anything yet?
It's too bad because I thought, like, with all that big build, like, I thought it'd be him versus Kane at WrestleMania, but I don't know. They brought him back, and he was just, he got beat by, like, Daniel Bryan on Raw this week. I don't know. It seems like they're kind of missing the boat because the guy was, like, so popular.
Yeah, and maybe he'd taken away the steam, too.
Yeah.
Who knows? Because he did get over on his own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's never really a good thing.
Yeah.
You made people pay attention to you, so he'll still do good. The whole woo-woo thing, he just got to be taken seriously at the next level. You know what I mean? You can always drop that and still keep the woo-woo-woo and still keep the character, but you got to become a credible badass. Mm-hmm. Or I never would have been, top guy in the world of what I was doing if I didn't lose a lot of the gimmick. And I often say that when Paige Joseph Falkenberg, which used to be our real name before I actually changed it to Dallas Page, just like John Wayne changed his name and and a lot of others, but ain't no money in Paige Falkenberg, Paige Joseph Falkenberg,
Right.
But when Paige Joseph Falkenberg was trying so hard to be this bigger-than-life wrestling persona, I never really grabbed the people's attention past, yeah, he's good, like his talk, blah, 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 but he'll never be. But when Diamond Dallas Page started taking on the characteristics of Paige Joseph Falkenberg, a person who will not be denied, a person who has a work ethic that is second to none and that will help everyone and anyone around him that has that same mindset. One of the biggest things I learned when, I came in at 35, I wrestled for about 9 months, tore my rotator cuff, they let me go. Bill Watts came in, he let me go. And I knew he was going to, so I sort of quit before he fired me. And then I came back, at 37, And I had Jake Roberts' education, Jake Roberts' School of Hard Knocks and independent working of how to work at being a top guy. I had all that knowledge that he had given me, all the knowledge Dusty had given me. Came back, Dusty was giving me that push with his fishbowl gimmick. Then they put Dusty out to pasture, didn't fire him, no one wanted him to go anywhere. You know, put him out to pasture. After 5 weeks, my push went stage left, and all of a sudden I'm not working at all. But they're still paying me, you know, $75,000 a year, which sounds like a lot of money until you start, you know, having to travel and everything else.
Yeah.
And you ain't making any money in professional wrestling until you're making at least $150,000 to $175,000 a year. You're not making any real money. And because so much gets eaten up in costs and taxes and all that stuff. But, you know, to come back, and this is a life lesson for anyone listening about anything and everything. Wrestling is a lot like a lot of things, but I always like to compare it to the guitar. If you play the guitar once in a while, you can learn a song or two. But if you play guitar all the time, you can become really good. Same thing in wrestling. If you only wrestle once in a while, you never really get it a little. But if you wrestle a lot, you learn and you learn and you learn and you learn. So they weren't letting me do that when I was 37 or 38. So I'd go down to the power plant and I started teaching the young guys. When I got into that building and put my knee braces on and my pads and all my shit, I went in that ring and you didn't see me leave the building till I got out of that ring. And I stayed there. I'd take one young guy after another, whether it was doing tackle drops downs where you hit the ropes and it's a conditioning thing. I will blow one guy up after another. Practicing, you know, working the arm, you know, chain wrestling. Like, I get some of these, I can't believe this one guy from TNA. I didn't even know who the hell he was. Cassidy Riley. I guess there's some thing that came out in that TNA where guys are talking about, you know, who they thought of this guy or that guy. And this guy busts my balls. He puts me over a little bit in the beginning, and he busts my balls about how I would go over a match, and it had to be, like, scientific. Like, you know, every single move. Well, yeah, I would lay out a match, and when I got out there, whatever happened, happened. But I believe the best matches ever are preparation and improvisation. I never even worked with this joker, and he's talking about me like he's friggin' Ric Flair. You know, if Rick said this, okay, I get it.
Right.
Because Rick, you didn't have to call anything to, but Rick would also, if you would lay shit out with Rick, and he'd be cool with it. I mean, Rick could obviously do anything, you know, and I worked a lot with Rick. So if, like I say, if Rick said it, I'm going to accept it. But some fucking guy, I don't even know who he is. Are you fucking kidding me? Who the fuck have you ever beat? You know, I sold out arenas. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, you know, and it made me laugh too. You know, I'm just like, this business, there ain't nothing else like it. You know, there's nothing else like it.
Somebody in the chat room, I never heard this story, but he's saying that Mark Madden claims that you got him fired from WCW.
Stop. I won't even, who? Mark who? He doesn't even exist to me. I won't take a comment from him. I don't care what he says. I don't know him. He doesn't exist. Next thing.
All right.
Anything, but because that person doesn't even exist to me. At the time we're talking, I won't entertain by putting him over by saying his name.
All right. Whatever happened to Max Muscle?
You know, what a great guy he was, man.
I mean, that was a guy like that.
I did too. You know, he's a good guy, and he was really great for, you know, for that character at that time, for me working with him. And all he said was absolutely, but he said it perfectly at the right time, at the wrong time. He was a really good guy. Really, really liked him. I don't know where he's at. I would love to run into him, see how he's doing.
Yeah. When you were in the AWA, were you around for the taping of the Wrestle Rock Rumble?
No, I was.
Video? I don't know.
No, I was there for Super Clash, though. That was called Super Clash. Yeah, I was there for that. I'll tell you, that's right. On one road trip, I became good friends with Michael P.S.A.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael, you know, Jerry Jarrett was driving. Eddie Marlin was sitting shotgun. And I love Jarrett, too. You know, P.S. did because he thought he got screwed on a bunch of payoffs. I'd never been paid, you know, had to get payoffs from Jerry. But have you seen Memphis Heat?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Jerry's movie Memphis Heat?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. We've had a lot of people on the show.
Yeah. Anybody, there I mentioned Jerry Jordan. I got to get that. If anybody's listening, you're a wrestling fan. Wow, I loved it. I went with Raven and my buddy the yoga doc. We went to the show and we loved it. It was awesome.
What I liked about it was it wasn't like a typical wrestling, which I like those too, but a lot of them focus like on the negative stuff. This really was just like almost like a celebration of Memphis wrestling. It just made you like man, I'm proud to be a wrestling fan. It was really good stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And of course, the Andy Kaufman stuff. And Waller was amazing in it, but so many of the guys were.
Yeah. Sputnik and Rowe. I was just going to say that.
Yeah. John, it was awesome. Mm-hmm. I mean, talk about a character. He was amazing.
Yeah. We met a lot of those, not Sputnik, but he passed away, but we met a lot of them at the Fan Fest a few years ago, and they were still characters. A lot of the, what's like they weren't real brothers, but the brothers.
Fargo.
The Fargo, yeah. That was pretty amazing.
Fargos, yeah. They were awesome. Awesome.
Now, speaking of Fan Fest, we've been to it the last 7 years, and last year at the Hall of Heroes, we were in attendance, and you gave the Hall of the Heroes plaque to Sir Oliver Humperdink, and you had a lot of stories. And apparently, I think yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of his passing. Just if you had any Oliver Humperdink story you'd like to talk about.
God. Not really. He was, Hump. Like the thing about Hump, and I worked with him in Florida Championship Wrestling too. And he was just like the nicest guy. He didn't need a lot. He was always there to help anybody and give advice if they asked. If not, he just kept to himself. But he was a good friend of mine, and I really loved that guy. And we'd catch each other from time to time. Doing that whole Florida Championship Wrestling thing, what we did for about a year or so, and then coming in and Dusty brought him in his Big Daddy Dink, and to be with the Freebirds in a car with the Freebirds and Sir Oliver Humperdink. If I only had the YouTube thing then,
right?
And Hump would get in. And Hump was very strategic about this. He'd get to the building, he'd get his chair, he'd put his towel on his chair, his bag. Like, get your spot first. That was like the thing with Hump. And, he liked the cocktail. And, it was really interesting because towards the end, I guess he'd heard that he had, the cancer or whatever yet, but he hadn't told anybody yet. But he had called me up because he knew I was helping a lot of people with weight. And probably the first thing he said to him, you got to get that weight back off. You got to get this. You got to get healthier. And he called me, and I sent him my program, my original stuff, and he was like, "David, thank you so much, man. I want to get back to you tomorrow. I really want to start doing the right thing. It's been long enough. It's time for me to get my shit together." And that's when he went to the hospital. I didn't hear back from him. But it's a shame because so many people are like that. They wait until, they're knocking at the door for you. Or you find out if you don't stop doing this, you're going to die. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of people sort of leave life. I try to do it the other way around and try to get a punch and preventative maintenance or whatever. And, he's missed, man. A lot of people, you can't talk about him or Sherry Martel and not have people go, wow, what a good person.
He was always really nice to us. We'd meet him each year, and I talked to him all the time on Facebook and whatnot. We had him on the show with Gary Hart at the same time. They both passed away, but both really good guys. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question from the message board. Horror Nerd, he wants to know, what was it like working with The Undertaker during the Stalker storyline?
I don't really... I never realized that I was the enemy coming in there.
Yeah.
I never realized that, I knew a lot of guys had heat in that company because of this or that. They, left there to go to there, or, they threatened people or made a big, whatever they did. I'm thinking, I ain't got any of that heat. I didn't realize we almost put you out of business heat.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, and the first guy coming in was going to feel that. And I didn't know that. If I'd have known what I know now, I'd have done it differently. But, I have no, I don't have any negativity towards Mark. Mark, I actually really like him. I think he's a nice guy. And I think if things were different today, if I came in there different today, would have been completely different. My only really good memories of coming to that company to work as a wrestler was the first day. That's about 300,000 hit DDP's first day in WWE. And, you tell me how many people got a bigger pop than that. Not many. Not many.
That really was a strange storyline.
Yeah, well, it's funny because Austin, I don't think it was meant to set me up or anything like that. I don't think anybody could win in that scenario, but because Austin said, they wanted him to do it. He went, no, I'll pass on that. I said, why didn't you call me and tell me that? Douchebag. Call me up. Tell me that. But I don't know if I would have listened. I actually had the whole idea of wanting to do People's Champion versus People's Champion, and it's not like I didn't have that idea 2 years before. 2 years. And, it's my own fault. I should have stuck to my vision. And everything would have been different. But, then I always got to look at the other side of it, because you always got to look at this happens, well, what happens here? If this happens, like what happens 5 years later here? And, I did a deal with DDP Yoga as YRG Fitness System with Warner Brothers. Now, who's bigger than Warner Brothers? I don't know.
Nobody.
Not many companies out there are bigger than Warner Brothers. And they owned the creative rights to YRG, DDP Yoga, all of that. And like I said, I sat on my hands for 2.5 years on this thing, and finally it was like, you know what? I'm playing hardball here. If I don't get this company back in total control and I only have to pay you this, then I'm out of here. Because without me, you got nothing. And when I started to leave, they were like, oh, well, wait a minute. So what do you want to do? And you got to be afraid to walk away from the table. And long story short, I got the best deal that you could ever have. So when this does blow up, and it will blow up, you mark my words, in less than 3 years, DDP Yoga is going to dwarf what I did as a professional wrestler. And people will know, is that the guy who used to wrestle? He's the big yoga guy for people who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. That's how I'm going to be known. The guy who changes lives. The guy who helps people at so many different levels it's inconceivable. And I started with Arthur Boorman, the guy who, couldn't walk without aids of canes and knee braces and back braces, 300 pounds at 5'6". Today, 5 years later, bro, the cat can do shit I can't do. So, he's one of a slew of people that I've helped, and he is like the guy who breaks up all the excuses. And right now, I'm about to start working with the Wounded Warriors. That's my next goal. And that's because this is a wounded warrior. So he's my face to walk us in there and go, okay, this is what we can do for you. So, that's where my impact is going to be so huge through this company, and it's going to dwarf what I did in wrestling. And that's a bold statement, because in the 90s, as you know, wrestling is everything. So that's the big picture goal to me. And to be perfectly honest with you, if I do the People's Champion versus People's Champion angle, most likely I'm not in this position right now. So I got to thank Vince. I got to thank Taker for how things went down. That's why I have no any negativity. I have a ton of respect for Vince. I have a ton of respect for Taker. And to me, I just, more than anything, I just know those two guys. I think that they are going to pull out all the stops with the stops that are left. Because, Hunter's at the end of his run as well because he ran so hard. Now, will he still pop up once in a while and get in the ring? I'm sure he will. And he'll do it, effortlessly. But this is WrestleMania. This is Taker, Triple H 3 or 4. 4, right? This would be
yeah.
what time they met?
They 17 they wrestled, and then last year, and then this year we'll make it a third time. Yeah.
They advertise it like the second, but it's really the third.
Right. So, but the bottom line is, they're both going to give it everything. So my prayer is that they just go out there and give everything they got, and none of them get seriously hurt, because they are beat up, and those two guys are performers at a whole nother level, especially on that day. So I can't wait to watch that match. I can't wait to watch Jericho and Punk. Yeah. I can't wait to watch Rock and Cena. I can't wait to see what Cody does with the Big Show. Because I had a hell of a match in the Big Show at Starrcade when he was heading out to go to the WWE. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
I had a hell of a match with him.
That's a guy. People always talk, they use better in WWE, whatever, but I always think that's a guy that was actually a lot better in WCW as a Giant.
No,
I like Big Show, but I think that WCW actually used him more like as a Giant.
Well, that is what it is. Show's pretty happy with how his life is going there. So if he's happy, I'm happy. But I want to see how Cody, because I was in the ring with Cody when he was 14. So I've known him since he was 7. So I always watch to see what he's doing, and because all the top guys, they're around the same size now. They're around 5'10" to 6'1". So you ain't got to be friggin' 6'4", and be a giant killer right now. Because all those guys, from Punk to Cody to Daniel Bryan, who's an amazing worker, and I love watching those two, Punk and Bryan work, man. Those guys, you talk about guys who complement each other, but if you go back and watch their stuff, but they're wrestling in front of 60 people, they tore it down. So those are the kind of guys I love to watch.
And I think the fact that they're two top guys in WWE now, really everyone on the indies, it gives them more hope. Like I'm out here, I can make it up there. Because a lot of people never thought they make it to WWE, never mind be like the world champion.
Right, and featured in main events, and and just looked up to at such a level, man. To me, these guys go out there and they bust their ass, and they put it down on the line, all the time. And I think this WrestleMania, it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. I'm going to the Hall of Fame, and going there, and I love going there and just seeing the guys and everything. And I'm happy to see that Edge gets inducted in, because he didn't want to see that guy retire so early. Yeah. But smart move for him to get out, because you don't want to leave your body in the ring.
Real quick about the go on, Intro.
You think Cassidy Riley's going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame?
Who?
Cassidy Riley.
Who's that?
That's what I was talking about before.
I was just saying along the line of the young guys, a guy, I don't know if you know him or not, but John Moxley, you've had on the show a couple times, and I see him live. I just thought he was just awesome, like the best guy in the Indies, and they just signed him, and he's Dean Ambrose in Florida, and I think he'll be on WWE TV soon. But that's a guy you should look out for.
Good, I like that. I like the way you say look out for somebody. I remember when Jake called me and said, "You got to watch this guy, Rocky Maivia." Oh man, he put him over huge. Jake didn't know his talent better than anybody.
So, there's a good question too from the Facebook. Was Brian would know? Did they ever talk to you about coming in when Orton was doing the Legend Killer gimmick, and they could have done RKO versus Diamond Cutter?
No, they never did. But we got to remember how I left was on that neck injury. And even though I went and did work at TNA there for a while, Vince was like, it was like 3 doctors said I was done. The same thing with my back. And then Vince said, he doesn't want me to work anymore in the ring, and, wanted me to stay as a color commentator. But I just needed to get away from wrestling. It was just time for me to leave. So I said, thank you, but no thank you.
I want to bring this up, too, because I talked a little bit with Sid Haig last week in Atlanta. They got Lords of Salem coming up, and you're in that new Rob Zombie film. Is there anything you can talk about that?
About what film?
Lords of Salem.
Did Rob do that? I'm not in that.
You're not in that. All right. Well, forget that one, and we'll edit that out. I thought I saw your name on there, but apparently I didn't.
Is Sid in that one?
Sid's in that, yeah. And
what about Bill?
I don't know. Bill, no, but he told us he was doing a new movie. It was about the guy with the thing carved in his head. I couldn't think of his name. Charles Manson. He's going to play Manson in a new film, and I just thought, oh man, that's like a perfect guy to play Manson.
Yeah, it is. And you got to meet him. He's like a soccer dad. I mean, he's a laid-back cat. That's what I mean by that. He'll tell you. I used to tell everybody, you don't get it. I'm not like this. I'm like a soccer dad. Oh, no way. And they'll go, no, you do this and you do that. And he goes, and then finally, well, go fuck you, motherfucker. Get the fuck out of my face or I cut your face off. Bill was a great guy. I always hang out with him whenever I'm in and Sid too, but Bill and I, we're good buddies. And anytime we're doing that, because I do a lot of those things because it's almost reject,
Mm-hmm. And you always find fascinating about Bill Moseley is like when he played Chop Top, he's like you really thought like he was like this small, just like this pathetic guy. Then when he plays Otis, you think of him as like this big badass, and it's just weird that he could play like such different parts and be like totally different physically.
It's called acting.
Yeah. Any last question from the message board?
Let's see here.
I know there was quite a few. And sorry we didn't get to the people who called in, but maybe sometime we'll have DDP back on and bless him.
I appreciate you guys having. One last question, kid.
Yeah.
I got to go watch I got Apprentice. I still got it on TiVo, so I got to go down and watch Apprentice.
What was the last question, Rich Man?
Ludite Supreme, he wants to know if you could have went to WWE with Tanaka and Diamond, what would you have done? Would you have gone? I'm sorry.
Oh, Bad Company.
Yeah.
Well, if I did, what would?
I just want to know if they ever thought about bringing you in when they brought them in from the AWA.
No, nothing ever came about that. You got to remember, I'm 6'4". We're not all yoked up. I'm 225, 230. When I'm yoked up, I'm like 255, 260.
Right.
So, I dwarfed. When I did my interviews with Pat, when I first did them backstage, I spread my legs like, seven,
right.
as far as I could spread them, And I'll tell you what, Pat and Paul, but mainly Pat. I think Pat, he taught me a lot. That later on I used some of it, in the ring. I think Pat Tanaka is one of the most talented performers in the ring I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. I thought he was amazing. I would love to have actually worked with him. Just doing any kind of a match with him once I was, in my groove. I would love to have worked with him.
He probably would have been better off if he would have came around recently because, his height wouldn't have been big of an issue. I don't think.
Oh yeah, I think he would have been a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Superstar today. Oh my God, yeah, he would have been. Depending on how he partied at the time and how clean he was.
Right.
He would have been top 10 guys, absolutely.
Awesome finisher. One of my favorite tag team finishers too is Bad Company when they would do the catapult into the DDT. Thought that was really cool.
Yeah, awesome, absolutely.
Well, we want to thank you for coming on. It's always a lot of fun talking to you.
Hey, me too, guys. Listen, thanks for having me on here. And remember, anybody who's listening, you want to know what I'm doing, what I'm about, go to ddpyoga.com. You may not get it today. Like so many people say, man, I was here 2 years ago, and now I'm back, and now I'm doing it. May not get you now, but I'll get you at some point if you want to heal that body of yours and have a lot of fun doing it. I got this place called teamddpyoga.com, which is like my support group.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And that really is the reason why I have such success with so many people is because they have a support system. And that's what you need. Guys, it's been your pleasure.
Thanks.
See ya.
Excellent. And we apologize to the person who sent this